What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Ryan Cohen is now officially chairman of the board over at GameStop. This is a move that actually kind of surprised me initially until I did a little bit more digging and research, and I'm like, oh, actually, that makes the most sense. And we're going to talk about why. Before we get into it, hit that subscribe button, bell for notifications, and give me that like if you don't mind. Let's get into it. JT. All right, so first off, I am a little bit shocked by the stock price daily action today after this announcement. Now, it came out pre-market and the stock was up like 3%, 5%. It went up to, I think it almost hit like 188 in pre-market before falling back down to even and then below that. And now it's kind of been hovering around between the 165 and 175 range for the better part of the day. And that's just kind of strange to me because this is the news that all the shareholders were waiting for, is some sort of announcement of what Ryan Cohen would be doing. Now, it turns out that this is going to be one of those sell the news type of things, because I think a lot of people who are invested in this were expecting some sort of move, whether it be naming him the CEO or chairman of the board or some special title that they don't even have existing right now. But regardless of that, it was selling the news. But I feel like in the coming days that this is going to be something that actually picks up the price of the stock, because people are going to realize what power this guy has as chairman of the board. For those of you who aren't familiar with the differences are between CEO and chairman of the board, the chairman of the board is more invested in the shareholders' best interests. He doesn't want to screw the little guy. He doesn't want to screw the people that are putting money into the company. He wants to take the decisions and make sure whatever they do is the best decision for everyone, for the longevity of the company and the short term of the shareholders. So with that in mind, it kind of goes, like I said, right in line with what the expectations Ryan Cohen had going into this whole thing. And that's why I'm not surprised. It's actually thinking about it, because his initial letter that he sent, and I covered in a video like a year ago, I think at this point, where he wanted the most value for the shareholders, the best interest of the shareholders at heart, which is something that GameStop for the longest time didn't give two craps about. And then Ryan Cohen comes along and says, whoa, you got yourself a good product here. This company, there's value here. But you got to stop screwing the shareholders. Those are the people that are putting money into this, that want the best out of the company as well. And now this whole social movement, the Reddit rebellion, if you will, which, I mean, whatever. I guess the retail traders have a large part in this as well. But it's something that every company should look at, as we should care about the people putting money into this company and make sure we utilize it to the best of our ability. Now, the transformation that Ryan Cohen is putting GameStop through, the complete overhaul that he's doing in the digital transformation. And I know people hear that and they scoff at it and say, ugh, there's already too much competition, there's X, Y, and Z. Look, there's no guarantees of what GameStop is going to do, if it's going to work or not. But to have one of the best established billionaires backing this thing, that speaks volumes. That would be like, for the haters out there that still don't believe in the turnaround of GameStop, that would be like a company that you liked, that was down on its luck, and we'll say, for lack of a better, we'll say Elon Musk comes in as the angel investor and is like, no, I see value in this company. I'm gonna buy 13% of it and I'm gonna run it. I mean, I'd like to think that people would start to think, okay, this guy probably knows what he's doing. He's been successful before in the past. He's got a lot of money and he's got a lot of connections in the industry. So who knows? I mean, it might be worth a flyer on it. And that's what I look at with this GameStop thing. And that's why I go back to, I was kind of shocked at the price action today falling. Like I was expecting it to have a spike into like the mid 200s and ride one of those again. Maybe investors are getting wise to the whole yin and yang and the spikes up and spikes down, and it's starting to consolidate a little bit more and get into far more technicals than I've ever learned about the stock market. But at this point in time, with that announcement, yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I was expecting a pretty good day today. So who knows what the future holds, like I always say with these. I mean, it could fall to zero tomorrow. I doubt that, but anything can happen with the stock market. My point being, with this news, it is exactly what stockholders have wanted to come to fruition for the longest time. I remember talking to my buddy Rod, who does the GME DD. He and me were talking about how we wanted to have Cohen become the CEO of the company. And that was back like before Cohen even got seriously involved with the company. Now, I said I'd explain the differences. I never even got to that. The CEO is more running the day-to-day operations of the actual executives of the company and doesn't have so much of the board of directors or investors at heart in mind when they're doing their job. So George Sherman, who has been doing that, and has been heading the turnaround project since before Ryan Cohen even came to fruition with this whole situation, has been doing an okay job. Not great. It's been slower than a lot of investors like myself in GameStop wanted it to be, but at least it was the starting prospects of it were at least happening. So it's Sherman there, the turnaround starting, and now Ryan Cohen coming in, basically directing the company's future, the head of the table, the board of director, chairman. It's a big deal. And like I said, maybe it's taking the market a little bit longer to digest this information. Maybe a lot of people were selling the news thinking, okay, that's the announcement we all were expecting is something to happen with Ryan Cohen. So now we can sell the news on that. But I think people who are selling GameStop right now are missing the bigger picture. And take it for what you will. This is not financial advice. I am definitely not a professional, for entertainment purposes only. And like I said before, this is one hell of a ride, entertaining as anything in the stock market could ever be. And I'm hoping for the best for the future of GameStop. But as of right now, this is big news. This is really big news. And Cohen being the chairman of the board, hopefully starts turning some heads, starts raising some eyebrows, starts making people, not just in the industry, but outside of the industry, start to speculate of what this turnaround could mean, how GameStop could transition into the digital beast that they all talk about behind closed doors, what they've meaning to do for such a long time. And this is finally an official action towards that first step. So while they've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, hiring a ton of reputable people, just think, by the way, the people that they've been hiring, ex-Google execs, ex-Amazon execs, people from Chewy, all successful, very successful business people that don't really need the money. Like, this is a passion thing for them. And to get into a company where you're surrounded by people with passion, just to forward a company into a better place, they see what the future brings. You know, it's not, even though these people are all multimillionaires, or in Ryan Cohen's case, a billionaire, it still doesn't mean that they're doing this for more money. I mean, at some point, you do stuff because you're an entrepreneur. You have that spirit. You want to be as successful and passionate as possible with everything you do on a daily basis. So just being able to turn a company around to the point of luring these successful people away from these gigantic corporations to work at GameStop, which was the laughing stock of the game industry for like the last decade, that speaks volumes. And I personally am very excited about the future prospects of the company. What shape that takes, who knows? But at least we know, with Ryan Cohen at the helm of the board of directors, the chairman of the board is not going to be making financially terrible decisions to screw over the shareholders, at least intentionally, which is something these days you don't take for granted anymore with people who are running the board of the directors in all these companies. But with him doing that, and the potential ability to raise money by selling a very minuscule amount of shares, which might initially, like I said, drop the price. It already kind of did when they announced that they might be doing it. They didn't even do it yet. They said we might do it at cost if we feel it's necessary, which gives them basically an open playbook to make as much money as possible selling these shares on the open market, and still keeping somewhat of a small short squeeze intact, because this thing was shorted to death previously. But when they do that, they're going to raise all this capital and be able to spend it and buy things and do crazy things with it. So, I mean, with all that in mind, like there's a lot of potential for the future of this company. And Ryan Cohen being the chairman of the board of directors for GameStop, I'm ecstatic about it. I think it's the perfect spot for him to be in. This whole time I wanted him to be CEO, which may still happen. Some companies do that one and the same. I don't think it's so much anymore these days, but it's still a possibility. But at this point in time, I think they are set up to win. It's just a matter of executing. I'm going to leave the video right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, you stay smashing. Smash,